Welcome to the training video for the Strike Line Swing Trainer. My name is Chris Jackson. First of all, I just want to thank you so much for choosing us, for becoming part of our family, and I want to let you know that we are always going to be here to help. We'll have videos, but myself personally, I will also be available. If you ever have any questions or need anything, I'm a source and you can always reach out to me. Below you can find my contacts, my email, phone numbers, and anything that you might need. This training video is designed to go over some of the most important aspects in the golf swing, your setting up of the trainer, and we fully believe that this trainer is going to be able to take you to the next level. Myself personally, this trainer has taken me from about a 10 handicap to almost scratch, which is what I'm playing off of right now. We've showed it during development. We've showed it to many of the top golfers in the world. Colin Montgomery, Andy North, Stuart Sink. We've got rave reviews from all of them. I've never had any truly negative feedback. We did get some good input from them that helped us in our design of it, and we really believe that it is going to help you improve your game and play great golf. Okay, so the first thing that we want to look at is setting up our new trainer. So our trainer, we will have right-handed and left-handed versions. You have the training arm and you have the grip trainer. The grip trainer is the only thing that will change between the right-handed and left-handed options. So when you set up, you'll notice that they're in two pieces, and there's a reason for that. But the first thing that you're going to do is take the screw out of your trainer. We want to, in the normal application of this trainer, we're going to pop the clip right over the shaft, and we want the training arm to be parallel with the leading edge of the golf club. So I can eyeball that right here. Most of the time when you have your grips installed, there might be a little line that faces down to the leading edge. So it's a lot easier to just line up directly to that. Standard grips, you're going to be able to slide the trainer all the way up. Mid-size and jumbo grips, you might have the trainer about halfway on to the grip, and that's fine. It's going to lock on still. And you might still have to adjust it depending on the size of your hands. But once we have that on, we're going to screw this down into place, lock it down good and tight, and then we can choose to use the grip trainer if we want. Now on the grip trainer, you're going to see that there's 3 notches here, and then there's a little notch right here on the training arm. The reason for that is because we know that everybody's swing, everybody's setup is going to be a little bit different, and we want people to be able to swing their own swing. We know not everybody is going to have a very neutral standard grip. Some people might want to be a little strong, some people might want to be a little weak, and that's okay. If you set it to the middle notch, that is going to be basically your standard neutral grip. From here, you'll see that your thumb stays just on the inside of each groove and your hands will overlap. That means your bottom thumb is going to kind of go down the lifeline of your palm. Now, as I mentioned, you can also choose to put it all the way to the left, which would give you a much stronger grip, or you could put it back to the right, which will leave you a weaker grip. Now, you might also use that in a future lesson if you're trying to do a specialty shot. So once we've got our training arm attached and we've got our grip set up, this is the most important part of our training tool, because the main thing that we're trying to do in our swing is unify the movements between our upper body and our legs. That's why we have this here. So you're going to take this clip. There's 2 different ways to attach it. You can use this clip right here, or you can use this clip, but you want to hook it on your belt line pretty much directly above your zipper. I prefer this little clip on the top, and I usually just hook it on my belt loop here. And then that completes our setup of the training aid. Okay, now that we have our training aid set up, we want to take a look at what Jack Nicklaus called the most important fundamental of his golf swing. And then we're going to look at the setup, which is also one of the most fundamental parts of every golf swing. Every year it was said that Jack Nicklaus would play his golf season and he would take the last few months of the year off and go fishing. And whenever he returned to golf, the thing that he dove into at the beginning of every year, every season to get started, was 100% the fundamentals of golf. That's our stance, that's our grip, that's our ball position, and then this fundamental is the number one thing that Jack said in his golf swing that was the most crucial, and that was having a stable head position. And the reason for that is because wherever you set up, wherever your head is, that's gonna create the low point of your golf swing. As you can see right here, if I shift my head position back behind me, that moves the low point of the swing back. If I move it in front, that moves that low point forward. If I stand up, my low point isn't even on the ground. I would have to make a drastic movement to try to get my club back to the ground. If I also dip too much, that puts my low point into the ground. So what Jack liked to say is that he felt like there was a stake through his head. I like to say that there's a stake that goes through our head, out of our tailbone, and into the ground, and we're swinging around that stake. Now there is some movement. If you'll watch players like Rory McIlroy, he'll actually have just a little bit of shift into his right leg before he plants his right leg, and then on the downswing there's just a little bit of weight shift back. But the thing is, he's moving. He might move his low point back a little bit, but it's right back to the ball at impact, and then he follows through. So keeping that most important fundamental in mind, let's look at the rest of the setup. Now the first thing that I want you to do is imagine you have a friend that's about ready to throw you a very heavy ball. Imagine one of those 30-pound medicine balls. If your friend was right across from you and I'm going to throw that to you, you would probably bend your knees a little bit, keep your arms out and active, not overreaching because you would never catch it out here, and you would keep your spine in line. You wouldn't put a drastic bend position into your spine because you know when you catch it, it's going to create a lot of compression and really hurt. So we have our spine in line, our knees slightly bent, our hands active and ready, but to our sides, and this is kind of how we're going to set up to the golf swing. We have one of the most important fundamentals in the setup is having a slight spine tilt. Like if you set this club right down your sternum and then you bend backwards away from your target just slightly so that the club goes inside your lead leg, you want about that much spine tilt. And the reason is you're kind of presetting a position. If this is our impact position and we have a little bit of side bend, we're basically presetting that side bend so we don't have to stand straight up, make a backswing, and then bend and go into the ball. Basically, all we're doing at that point is we're leaving ourselves in a position where we can turn back and turn through. So we're set up, we're active, we want our arms hanging straight down. We don't want to be reaching out or too far in, and the reason is if our arms hang straight down here, this is the position that they want to return to. If my hands are out here and I swing back, I have to push my arms out to keep them there, as opposed to letting them fall back into this position right here where we started. So we've got an active setup. We've got our arms out. I like to say that if this is them hanging dead, I move them up about 1/2 inch just so they feel active and ready. We've got our spine tilt just slightly. Now we can grab our club, remembering our first most important fundamental, and get ready for the backswing. Okay, now let's take a look at the backswing. Now this portion of the swing is actually what made me create this swing trainer, because I was struggling so much with taking a backswing that was way too far inside and then completing a swing that was way too over the top. Whereas you also might have people kind of like my dad, no offense dad if you see this, but his swing would be very closed, and so you had an extreme on both ends. So what we're going to do here is, now that we've learned our setup, our backswing is going to be a pivot into our right leg. So we're not swaying, because then all of our weight would be outside of our leg. We're trying to keep our center of gravity inside of our legs by pivoting into it. You see how when I turn, there's a nice crease right here in my leg, and I can feel some pressure in my rear glute. So this is the move that we make. If we keep our head still in that fundamental position and then pivot into our right, you'll notice that this cord stays between my arms. It doesn't hit my right arm. As I mentioned, my problem was swinging too far to the inside. So if I do that, I can feel this cord right there on my arm. If I'm too far to the outside, I can feel it right here on my arm. Now, the beauty of this swing trainer is, as I mentioned, everybody's swing is going to be a little bit different. One of the major movements on tour, and for a lot of scratch golfers that you might see, is they're trying to keep the club outside of their hands longer into the top of the backswing, and then really drop it behind and come into the ball more from the inside. So you can make adjustments that will help you do that. If I was to move this a little bit left of the leading edge of my club, then I could get to that position right here where I do feel it on my left arm, and I know that that club is outside of my hands now. But for the average golfer, a standard swing, I think, is going to be best suited to just pivot, turn, and keep it right in between our arms. From there, we keep our head position and just continue to turn to the top of our swing. Don't overswing. We want to just keep our left arm straight at this position, and that completes the top of our backswing. Okay, so we were at the top of our backswing. Let's talk downswing now. Now, I created this training aid due to my bad backswing, but I designed this training aid because I watched tens of thousands of videos, and whenever I did, I realized that the only thing that every good golfer had in common was what they did from about 2 feet before impact to about 2 feet after impact. And that was this, that when they're here, they're staying stable, they're not flying too far forward, they're not moving farther back, they're stable at this point. As we mentioned, they're pivoting around that pole, but they're holding the lag of their golf club and delivering that into the ball. From here to here, that position up front, that impact position would look like this, where that cord is hitting your arm as you're going into impact. As I mentioned, that means they're holding their lag, they're compressing the ball, they're hitting down and through. So with that in mind, from the top of our swing, where we have the cord between our arms, we know that the first thing that we have to do is try to create space in order to give ourselves time to hit that cord to our arm. So the first thing that you're going to do once you're at the top is you have to start driving the swing with your hips and your legs. If you listen to Jack Nicklaus, he said that he had to be very patient at the top, and he would just let his arms fall. He didn't say he got to the top and swung his arms as hard as he could. Now, you will hear players, maybe Sergio Garcia, he talks about as he gets to the top of his swing, his dad taught him to ring the bell. So he was up here and he would pull his arms down. The thing is, this is what creates the connection to the body. Whether you're being patient and letting the arms fall like Jack, or you're ringing the bell and kind of more actively pulling them down, what you're doing is creating that connection between your arms and your body. You're not coming over the top, losing connection. You're dropping in, creating lag, and you'll feel that right here by the cord touching your arm. Now, it's going to be a little bit different for everybody, and that's okay. Colin Montgomery, whenever he used the trainer, he has a very steep swing, and whenever he used it, he would hit his arm probably less than club parallel to the ground, probably about 45 degrees to the ground. He would hit it here and come through, and he said, "Oh, it's very late, isn't it?" And I said, "Well, for you it is, for sure. You know, that it wouldn't be the same for everybody, but for him, that was the perfect feel that he needed to know that he was making the swing that he wanted to swing." So for myself, if I'm being patient at the top and dropping my arms, I know that whenever I swing back here and let it drop, I'm already feeling it, and it kind of starts at my bicep, and then I feel it rub down my arm the whole way into impact. So we're holding that through impact, and then once we're at impact, if we're still staying still and we follow through, you're going to notice that the swing is like a mirror of itself. So on the other end, as you come up, you're going to feel it now riding up your left arm into a perfect finish position. Okay, so now I want to discuss a specialty shot, and that is these 50 to 80 yard pitch shots that we seem to have on the golf course. For amateurs, a lot more so than pros, but the pros see it a lot, and even the pros, it's a shot that they struggle with. But one thing that the pros say when they're trying to hit a 70 yard shot out of the fairway is that they want to feel more connected, and that whenever they come through, everything comes through. They don't want to feel like they're flipping at the ball. They want to turn back and then everything comes through together. So one of the greatest ways to practice this with your swing trainer is whenever you set up and you have a ball, set it about 50 yards out, and this is the only shot where you're actually going to try not to hit your arms at all with the swing trainer. So everything is going to be the same, but you'll take your backswing, a 50-yard backswing. I like the clock system that Bryson uses and a lot of other pros use, and that's basically if this was my 60-degree wedge and I knew it goes 100 yards, then at the top of my swing, that's 100. So if I take a half a swing, that should be about 50, right? So I'm going to take my half swing back, and on the way through, I'm turning everything together, keeping the cord between my arms, and finishing all the way through. And it helps so much with hitting shots that are so crisp and not sculling the ball. I think that's one of the biggest things that we worry about. But once again, that's just turning back, keeping it in the middle, coming through, and everything turning together. Okay, so next we want to look at some chip shots, and chip shots are going to be very identical to full shots. All of our fundamentals are basically going to stay the same. The main thing that changes with chips might be your ball position, depending on what kind of shot you're trying to hit. If you're trying to hit a little low runner or something that has a little more height to it, that you're trying to stop a little bit quicker. The specialty shot from 50 yards also works beautifully on our chips, even the green side chips. Turning our, keeping that cord in between and turning our body all the way through. That's something that's going to roll out a little bit more. Might be a little harder to stop than maybe, say, opening your club just a little bit and trying to use the bounce to hit a little spinner. But, you know, chipping is something that, if you listen to Sevi, who was regarded as one of the best short game players of all time, his idea with chipping is he wanted to get the ball on the green as quickly as possible and let it run to the hole. He wasn't trying to fly him to the green and spin him and make him stop. And I kind of suggested the same thing. If I have a chip right off the green and I have 15 yards to the flag and most of it is on the green, I want to fly it just over the fringe and let it run to the hole. And so that basically, you just want to find the club that works best. I prefer using a 60-degree wedge for basically all my chip shots because I can close it down a little bit and hit something that you know, goes a shorter distance and runs out still with it. Just because it's a 60 doesn't mean that it has to be a high shot on everything. But the fundamentals, as I said, are going to be about the same. Now there is one specialty shot with chipping that I wanted to show you, which is, you know, most people's favorite shot to try to hit whenever they're around the green, but that's the flop shot. So to set that up, if you have your grip trainer, just for a little added practice, you can set it to the weakest grip setting, and then once you're there, I want you to turn the cord until it's touching your right arm. And then whenever we're trying to hit the ball, we're going to run that cord up our right arm and then run it right back down until we hit the ball and just leave it there. We don't want any turning over at all. We're trying to keep the club open, slide underneath it, and hit something that goes way in the air. Okay, and the last thing that I want to look at is that if you have a pistol putter grip, you can actually right now use the swing trainer with your putter. It actually works beautifully for that too, to help create a straight back, straight through pendulum motion, or kind of an arcing motion if that's what you want. I recommend making it as easy as possible to roll the ball, and that's just straight back, straight through. If you have an arcing path with your putter, then you have to time it perfectly, because if you're a little early, it's going right. If you're a little late, it's going left. If I let this club hang straight down my wrist and I rock it back and forth, that's the path I'm trying to take. I'm not trying to be out too much and find something that that really has a strong arc to it. So if you set up to the ball with your putter, you can actually work on hitting your wrist as you make a pass. Or if you are an arc putter, you'll notice that as I use my shoulders to turn in more of an arc, it stays kind of more between my arms. It's not touching at all. But as I mentioned, I prefer a very straight feeling pendulum feel, using my shoulders to try to make that club go on as straight as path as possible. So for me, I know that whenever I hit the very crease of my wrist, and then about, what, 2 inches up on my right wrist, I know I'm making a pretty straight motion.